Before we begin, a brief warning. This episode contains explicit language and references to sexual assault. On today's episode, Natalie D'Amico places her story in the time capsule. You are now tuned in to the Story Time Capsule.
Hi, my name is Natalie D'Amico, and I want to tell a story of the first time that I did stand-up comedy in a club, a proper club, because I did open mics and whatnot in my early days. Actually, the first open mic I did, I was 18 years old. I was living with my parents still at the time, and there was one happening at a cafe down the street, and I said, fuck it, I'm gonna go. So I went, and then I got bit by the bug because it was, it went okay. And then I went to another one that I, Googled closest mic in LA, whatever, that night. And I bombed so hard that I didn't do it for months and years. And then the pandemic happened. And then I just had all these things that I wanted to joke about and say, or rather I wanted to talk about in a way that brought light to them. So I had all this material, and then when things started to kind of open up again, I got out there and I started doing it. And then, this was the first kind of like open auditions for a club that I went to. And they said, oh, we like your bit. Come do like a new Faces show. I was like, okay, great. So I go, I'm very nervous, but a bunch of my friends come out, which is I wasn't expecting it. And it was really special to receive that support. Because I think a lot of the times as, creators, actors, writers, whatever your medium is, it's a little insular, if that's the right word. Meaning that it's yourself a lot, and you forget that why you do it is for other people. And when it is received in that way in your own community, it was just really special. And I made everybody laugh. I killed it. It was an amazing first club set. No one can ever beat it ever. I'm sure they can. But what happened afterwards, and this is like how the story, the inciting incident, if you will. My friend comes up to me at the bar, and she says, hey, you were so great. I loved it. I laughed so much. But I got to tell you, that guy over there, and she points to this guy who's an older comic at the club, and she says, he grabbed my ass when I was like trying to go to the bathroom. When she was going out the door, he grabbed it while she was walking. And I'm pretty sure that every woman ever, or any really femme identifying person, and some dudes as well, knows what it's like to have their ass grabbed. So it's not something that is a mistake. When it's intentional, right? So she was like, it was intentional. And I was like, that's fucking creepy. But also I was kind of on edge because he was a comic at the place. So he had there was some sort of power structure there, whether you believe in it or not. It was there. And so she asked me, she was like, can I go up to him? Can I say something? I don't want to get you in trouble, right? She's like, I don't want to make you have a bad relationship professionally with this place, since you're just starting out and whatever. I said, no. Like, if you want to go say something to him, go say something to him. She said to me, the last time this happened to me, I was 18. And I think that my 18-year-old self would be mad at myself if I didn't go say something now. So for me, that was like, yeah, do it. So she goes up to him, and she does it in this incredibly generous way of just trying to have a conversation with the guy, not aggressive, not like, you grab my ass and you're a fucker or whatever. She goes up to him and he said, hey, when I was going to the bathroom, you grabbed my ass and that didn't feel good. And I want to I just want to say that I felt it, and that's not cool, right? I'm paraphrasing, of course, but his response is he immediately gets defensive, and very aggressive, and tries to yell at her, saying, I've had friends who have been raped, so how dare you accuse me of this? And she was like, I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm telling you what you did and that it's not okay. Also, like, same. So, invalid argument. And then, he's a comic, so he tries to kind of get defensive-y. And he says, it's because I'm fat, right? I think my fat touched you, and that's what you were talking about. And she was like, no. And then he kind of reaches this climax of, this is my place of work. So how dare you do this to me in my place of work? That got me a little bit, because it was like, well, isn't it mine too? But it was at that point that we just kind of realized it was a lost cause, and we got my friend out of there. And we kind of reconvened outside. And, when something like that happens to a friend, you feel for them, and their body and their energy, and you just want to make sure that they're okay. So we made sure that she was okay, and she there was a large group there, so they kind of went off, and I said, my stuff is inside. I have to go and get my stuff. And also, this is the part that I didn't say, but that I was thinking. I knew that if I didn't go back in there, then he would control the narrative of how that played out in that space, which is another, factor for me kind of going back. So my friend's good. She's with other friends. I go back in, and immediately he comes up to me at the bar. And this is with, I would say, 10, 12 other comedians around, some audience members that are leaving early that see this while they're walking out. He comes up to me and he gets immediately in my face and is like, who are you? Are you a comic? Because I'm a producer, and you better watch what you say around here. And this is happening. Just this is also a little bit why I wanted to say this story, was because this happened in January of this year. Like, people talk about how the world's changed and, everything's fine now. So why are we dwelling on the past? I'm not dwelling on the past. It's happened this year. And it was treated as, even after, in the aftermath, which I'll get into, it was treated as such a normal thing. Like, it was like, oh yeah, this happens. It's tough, but you just gotta kind of keep going. Which is true. But I think that there's something kind of dangerous and perpetuating in the normalizing of it. Because the more you make it normal, then the more that it just kind of can happen again and again. And people can be like, oh, it's not a big deal, when it is, in fact, a big deal. So anyways, he's yelling at me, and I'm with my partner. And that like shift with someone where you're in a verbal argument and then it kind of shifts into physical, like there's just a space boundary that gets crossed. So he crossed that boundary, and that's when my partner stepped in. And he is a very tall 6-foot black man, and he was like, you are not gonna get in my girl's face. like he was very much like, back up, right? And I didn't want then him to get involved. So I was like, okay, hey, breathe, like cool down. And this, other guy, by the way, this guy, this like comic, he's in his late 60s, looks like he's in his 80s. He is obviously, I think, drunk. I smelled beer on his breath. And he looks like Santa Claus, like a messed up Santa Claus. So like Santa Claus is yelling in my face, and then now in my partner's face, and I'm like, okay, everybody, like take a breath, right? And also there's tons of witnesses around. So at this point, it's not just he said, she said of, what happened near the bathroom. It's there are multiple people who see this guy getting in my face, being rude to me. Also, like, I'm 24. Like, I play the moment over in my head, and I'm like, what did you want out of this? What did you want to achieve by this? Like, why did you come at me? So the tipping point was when, I kind of I played the cooler in the room. I cooled everybody down. And then he gets back in my face and is like, do you know how easy it is to accuse someone of something? How about I call the cops right now? I'm going to call the cops and tell them that you stole money because you're a little like, and then just goes on a tangent. And in that moment, in that tangent, when he was coming at me and getting in my personal space again, I totally lost it. I totally started to cry and break down. And I felt like I flashed back to a moment in my life, in my childhood, where I had also been aggressed upon in that just completely dominant way. And I just totally broke down and cried. And then shout out to Eddie the bartender. Eddie the bartender swoops me behind the bar and is like, wait here. Like, you don't have to go out and see him again. Like, wait, we'll get him out. And then this is the crazy part. This guy comes back because I'm like crying in the bathroom, and I'm like, this guy comes back because the bathroom's next to like kind of an open area, and we meet in this open area, and he goes, hey, I just want to come back here and see, are you okay? You doing okay? Listen, I'm in the mafia, and that was some real shit that just happened, and I just want to make sure like you're okay. You're gonna go back out there. You're gonna show face. I was like, oh shit, I have to go back out. After they get him out and let him run his mouth, whatever he's gonna do outside the club, I have to go back out in the club if I want to have any chance of surviving in that space, right? I have to show face. So I did. I wiped up my tears like a beauty queen, and my wonderful partner had brought me this comically large bouquet of flowers. So I literally was walking back out into the lobby with everybody coming out looking like a straight up beauty queen. Like like I had mascara everywhere and flowers. And I was like, I'm okay, yeah. And and the funny thing is, like, it was a 5-minute set. Like it wasn't like an hour-long special. Like, I really started stand up 7 months ago. I've been doing comedy for really ever. But it started in like improv sketchland like 6 years ago now. But stand up I'm very new at. And so, just like, grain of salt in that, like, you're not a total professional yet, but in that moment it just was so heightened. Everything was so heightened. And I had my beauty queen moment, and then they continued to ask me to come back for weekend shows there. So I guess that's a win. I have never seen this man again. I was really worried that the next time that I was there, like, my body had that physical reliving of that moment when I was in that space the next time. And I was so nervous that he was going to be there, that he, saw my name on the lineup and wanted to come at me or something. But no, I haven't seen him. And to the club's credit, they said he's not welcome back here. Shout outs to the Comedy Chateau. What a place. I mean, if you guys, if you don't mind, I could run back to the car and get this, but I wrote, I guess it's a poem. That night that I got home, I could not go to sleep. I could not go to sleep. And I was up till, 4, just lying kind of rigor mortis, like just like debilitated. And I was like, okay, I'm clearly not going to sleep, so I might as well get up and try and put something on paper. And I wrote this thing about the exchange of energy when bodies that in the past were taught are not supposed to take up space, and the ripple effect. I'm back from the car. I'm gonna read it now. Okay. Sir, do you fear abundance? Do you fear if I, or bodies like mine, take up space that there won't be enough for you? Don't worry. I was taught by my elders to share. There is enough space to share. Sir, what I have spent many years in constant fear of are your retaliations when you operate from this place of fear I suspect you have of abundance. However, as mentioned, we have different fears, and I do not fear abundance. I do not want to live my life in fear of abundance. Do you? Yes, sir, the world is terrifying, and I very much experience fear daily, as most fellow humans do in our modern world. But I want to live my life and take up my space in the ways that I can from a place of love, honesty, and yes, abundance. Sir, I hope you find a shift in your own journey to do the same one day too. That's my story.
Tune in this Friday for bonus content from Natalie's episode. Natalie performs live at comedy clubs throughout Los Angeles. To check out where she's playing next, visit her Instagram. You can find the link in the description. At Story Time Capsule, we want to hear everyone's story. This space is for you to tell your story in whatever way you choose, through conversation or creative writing, maybe even by sharing a recipe. If you would like to sign up to share your story on the podcast, you can visit our website at storytimecapsule.com or follow the link in our Instagram bio @StorytimeCapsulePodcast.